All right, just gone 9 o'clock on this Friday morning. Delighted to have you along with us here in OTB AM. We've got a stacked studio. We'll introduce you to our guests in just a moment, but a bit of a flavour of what we're going to do over the next 30 minutes thereabouts. We're going to gaze once again back into we agreed last year it was a collective crystal ball as opposed to each having balls. So it's one big ball that we're all going to get eye to eye with over the next 30 minutes. And here are the various categories. So feel free to get in touch with us. Let us know what your thoughts are for 2020.
Is the ball bigger than last year?
Nobody else in the room for the minute. Shut up. So here's what we're looking at for the next 30 minutes. Will Liverpool remain unbeaten for the season? We're going to kick things off on that perilous question. Who's going to win the Champions League? Who's going to win Euro 2020? Are Ireland going to get back in it for the Six Nations? Or are England going to continue the World Cup form and blitz everyone else? So they're the first four categories. Then we're going to swing into the Champions Cup. Who's going to win the football next year? Is Dessie Farrell going to have the magic touch for 2020? Or are the Kerry Kingdom boys going to get right back into it? So we've the hurling and the 2020 Masters as well. They're your first 8 categories. How many goals are Ireland going to win? I presume that's what that is. Category 9 are going to win at the Olympics. And the 2019 champion as well is the thing that we really need to crown. And actually that's where we're going to kick off. But let's first of all introduce you to our panel of greats. Owen Shane is still with me. And we've Nathan and Ger who've joined us.
How are you?
Good morning to you, gents.
Great to be here bright and early on a Friday morning.
It's a full year since we sat around this table and gazed into our collective ball. It doesn't feel that. We agreed we'd one collective ball that we would get close up and personal with.
Yeah, really messed up 2019 for a lot of people, I think, staring into that one last year.
We didn't do very well last year, as it turns out.
Speak for yourself.
Myself and Nathan, chief amongst them. Ger, I mean, we're in a different kind of category here, is what I'm saying.
There's one tier than everybody else.
What happened was, out of 8 categories in 2019, Owen, you got 1 correct.
Dublin to win the All-Ireland.
Nathan.
In fairness, it was a good one to get. Saw it from January. It was the All-Ireland final went all the way to mid-September last year. So what is it, like 8 months out, and I still managed to get it correct.
You extract great joy from the fact that you got this right.
Yes, hugely. Jumping up and down in the terraces once this became apparent.
Nathan, you got also 1 correct out of 8.
Also Dublin. I likewise, as they beat Mayo in the semi-final at full-time, went, well, at least I'm going to be right about one thing.
Yeah. Great feeling, wasn't it?
Your golf predictions way off the mark.
Who did I go
golf
for?
Spieth and Garcia. It was the Open and Masters, I think we went with last year.
It's so bad we've actually changed the golf category this year to just the Masters.
That was pathetic.
We had the Open in last year because obviously he was in Ireland. Owen
I got
in Britain.
I got 2 out of 8. Dublin, which was the banker, obviously, and Tiger. Golfing expert here, Ger, as you well know. And then he's being so braggadocious.
Dickhead.
Because he got 4 out of 8. That is, to be fair.
It's not bad.
And
I was close. I was trolling the Munster fans by saying Munster were going to win it as well.
We both went for Munster. I don't know what sort of crack we were on last year. But
I was trolling them. I would have said Leinster, so I would have been wrong. But I would have
been wrong.
I would have hit the crossbar, each way.
I would have said Saracens, but I didn't.
You should have done then. So what did I get right? Tell everybody what I got right.
I don't know what you got right. You got Liverpool to win the Champions League.
Correct.
Wales win the Six Nations.
Wales to win the Six Nations. So what a call.
Dublin to win the football and Tip to win the hurling.
Well done.
That's pretty good.
Come on, give us your speech.
Yeah.
Right, that is 2019 out of the way. No, you've got to give a speech.
The postman does not celebrate when he delivers the mail.
I thought you were going to do some sort of a...
You have to deliver the mail.
You know, when you're up here picking up your shitty award, just get up, give your little acceptance speech, thank your agent and get the fuck out of here.
Thank my God.
Yeah.
Well, obviously as an atheist I only have one God and that's me.
That's it? That's your... I thought you'd have...
Postman does not celebrate delivering the mail, Adrian. Move on.
4 times out of 8. Right. 2020, let's get stuck into it. We're kicking things off. We mentioned at the top, are Liverpool going to go the season unbeaten? They're 20 not out. Nathan, I'm going to start with you. 18 to go.
I don't think so. Just because they'll have the title wrapped up with 5-6 games to spare. They may end up focusing on the Champions League. They'll be resting players. They may just get caught out. Or these things have a habit of ending at an appropriate occasion. So game number 49.
Arsenal,
of course, set their record. Game number 49, as it stands for Liverpool, would be against Manchester City.
Oh, sorry. Is Arsenal coming to the games later then?
It will be against Manchester City, which might be a appropriate time for it to end.
Where?
At the Etihad.
Right.
Beginning of April.
Yeah.
But that's what I see.
Written all over.
You see, that's the day they win the title.
I think they're the 2 fixtures. Like going to the Etihad obviously is the one banana skin, but then also I think it's the penultimate week of the season. Currently it's penciled in to go to the Emirates. Now I'm not saying Arsenal have any prayer beating Liverpool, but perhaps there's certainly a bit of narrative going into that week. I think they do it. I think they do go unbeaten.
Can I just say that last year, everybody, to a man in the studio, picked... sorry about that. That was Keith Wood ringing. Hey, Keith. Everybody, to a man, picked Liverpool to win the league. We bought into the Liverpool hype last Christmas when they were top of the table. Yeah. We were like, no way that this great Manchester City team could catch them. And Man City put in the greatest performance of all time.
2 points behind.
So we absolutely bought into that hype. And there is a distinct possibility we're going to buy into Liverpool hype again. However, I am saying they are going to go unbeaten.
Wow.
Why the hell wouldn't they?
But the hype was justified.
The
hype was justified. They literally haven't lost a Premier League game.
Man City won the league.
They haven't lost a Premier League game.
They blew a 9-point lead.
Since we were on air last year, they haven't lost a Premier League game and they've won the Champions League. I think the hype was justified.
Well, it wasn't. They didn't win the league. The question was, who's going to win the league? You all, and me, we all said Liverpool.
Are Liverpool, by the way, just for clarity for our viewers and our listeners, are Liverpool going to go unbeaten? I'm saying no. Nathan's saying no, and Jaron are going for yes.
I don't think it will diminish their greatness. I still think this is one of the best, because I do think they'll go on and win the Champions League.
Isn't there more of a tangible reason that? Because I actually just think the
it's easy to say no.
They're going on season.
It's easy to say no.
It's easy.
Yes.
The idea of going the season sort of unbeaten, the Invincibles, it's just a made-up, makey-uppy. Actually,
it's not though.
Will you hang on a second? Actually means something now, but when it comes to it, means absolutely nothing. There's nothing to win off the back of it. And what actually happens
means something though.
It means
really
nothing.
Mean
There's
something.
nothing. It's a manufactured thing. It is a manufactured thing. There's no getting away from it.
Yeah,
well, it's not. No. Winning the Premier League.
The best team.
Winning the Premier League is not manufactured. Winning the Champions League is not manufactured.
Are you saying there's no difference between Leicester that won the league and the Arsenal team that won the league? That Arsenal team is one of the greatest teams of all time because they went through the league unbeaten. It's a real thing.
So it'll become an amazing thing if they can get it done at the end of the season. But what I'm specifically saying is that at some point in the season, Liverpool are going to get this done with whatever number of games to go. 5 games, 4 games, 8 games, who knows, right? It'll be done and dusted and it'll be over. And so the idea of finishing the season unbeaten will be a motivation until such point as they lose it, and at which point they'll be like, they don't give a shit, right? So it is manufactured. And also they will have the distraction of the Champions League, you would think, up to a later point. I think there'll be a temptation at some point to start removing some of the frontline players from the team. At that point, they have City, obviously they have a number of other games that gone through the fixture list.
Okay, you're saying no.
You just completely contradicted yourself in that point. You said that they will lose.
Which even for you is remarkable.
You said that they will lose interest in it as soon as they lose a game. Of course they lose interest in the unbeaten record if they lose a game. Because you can't go unbeaten once you lose a game.
You
obviously going to give up in the Premier League and fielding first teams.
Misrepresenting my point on 2020 as we need to go on.
They will continue to
You've butchered my point.
The easy answer is no, because it's more likely going to be the correct answer, right? Because more than likely they're going to lose a game.
Why you're sitting here. Now you're saying that it should be no.
No, I'm saying more than likely. So
you're saying more than likely no.
Have some faith in the beauty of sport, to believe in things.
Come on.
I'm saying yes.
This is classic.
I think it's definitely possible because it shouldn't be forgotten that they lost to Manchester City a year ago. They hadn't been beaten all season before that. So they've gone pretty much 18 months with losing one Premier League game. And they will probably continue. I just think, like you, they might slip up somewhere towards the end. But it would, because it's Liverpool, 30 years, they don't need that to make it an extra special.
Is the short story.
But I think if they win the Champions League back-to-back, winning a Premier League title,
winning the league.
No, but I do think
it would be the greatest Liverpool team of all time straight away.
It's more than likely going to be no, not yes.
No, but it absolutely elevates you. So what separates that Arsenal side?
The odds suggest it's going to be no, and we're being asked not to be. You can go down to the bookmakers and get the odds if you want. What we're saying is, what we think is going to happen. I'm going for it.
It absolutely elevates you. That Arsenal side is seen as above Mourinho's Chelsea.
Probably isn't, but except for the fact that they
were unbeaten.
Category 2, we have to move on. We're going to, I'm sure, continue to touch on this madness in Category 2, which is your Champions League winner.
Real Madrid.
Well, I mean, we probably have to start with that one. I'm going for Liverpool, as is Nathan. Owen's going for Barcelona, and as you heard there, Jer's going for Real Madrid.
I'm a bit worried that I'm agreeing with Adrian on all these, so I might have to change.
You picked Liverpool again, did you?
I picked Liverpool, yeah.
He beat you last night.
Yeah, Ger, let's have you.
Go big or go home. Big game, obviously, straight up for them next time. But it just felt, from the bits that I've seen, that this Real Madrid side have built a side capable of winning the Champions League. They've got their manager back, and what looked like a sticky period earlier on in the season is over. And I just feel like they're a team who are built for success in the Champions League.
Did that Real team beat a Juve? I mean, definitely a Liverpool are in that conversation. A one-off game, major game.
I mean, they did just 2 years ago.
Well, Ronaldo.
2 years ago is...
Ronaldo beat them.
Now, they do have Benzema at a level he's never really been at in his career before. Like, he's taken on the mantle.
The two
he
young
is
kids.
the man.
The two 20, 21-year-olds.
Their midfield isn't strong enough, though.
What, Toni Kroos isn't strong enough?
I know you love Toni Kroos.
I do.
I think Toni Kroos is a nice... Modric isn't at the level he's been at over the last few years.
He might even be gone by the end of this transfer window.
So.
I don't know. I just think,
They obviously know how to do it.
I mean, Liverpool's win last year involved a fluky comeback against Barcelona.
That's my point exactly. I wouldn't put so much on the fluky, but it was certainly a bit of an aberration, I thought, how Barcelona coughed up that lead in a situation where Lionel Messi cares so much about the Champions League, banged in that free kick in the first game, absolutely incredible goal. And I don't think that motivation has gone anywhere else. I think Barcelona are winning the Champions League.
No, I also think Barcelona's midfield isn't strong enough defensively. They're weak.
Liverpool's midfield, how strong is that? Come on.
But it feeds
All of a sudden everybody's
into Liverpool's system the way they want to.
Henderson's a legend.
Liverpool will win it. They're comfortably the best team in the world. They'll win this. They're the best goalkeeper, best right back, best left back, best centre half, 3 unbelievable attackers, and a midfield that does its job. They'll win the Champions League. There's
no shout for Juve, is there? I mean, like the same
chance.
point about sort of the messiness, given what they have. He's pulled it out of his bag for them before in games they shouldn't have won. Now into knockout football.
Not as good as supporting cast, I'm afraid.
No, and he scored 2 goals in the group stage.
He scored a hat-trick last night, 2 nights ago. 3 nights.
And he can leap
4
20
nights
feet
ago
into
now.
the air. So he can literally just play the ball over you.
Yeah. And conversely, part of my argument is from the Liverpool end of things that they will have the Premier League wrapped up. They can take the foot off. They can put the kids out.
Not always a great thing. I mean, is the Champions League final also a month after this year? Is it a bit closer?
It's about 3 weeks, yeah.
So that team will
have celebrated the shit out of the Premier League.
The unbeaten Premier League.
A year and a half.
Exactly.
But that happens Bayern Munich a lot, where they wrap the league up by March and their form drops off because they don't have any competition. And they don't win the Champions League when they are sometimes the best team. I'm going for Real Madrid.
Right. Moving on to Euro 2020. We don't know if Ireland are going to be there yet, so I presume that means that none of us have gone with our home nation for that exact reason. But who's going to win Euro 2020? I'm going for England. Ger and Owen are going for France. And Nathan is going for the Dutch. Straight away, Owen has given me the look of what the hell are you on about? Is that?
No, let's go for it, Adrian. Let's hear it.
Yeah, it's mainly based on they obviously have a very good recent track record. Are they? They have a very good recent track record at major tournaments. They could have very easily gone.
The last tournament, the previous one, they were humiliated by Iceland.
You just judge me on your last tournament. And looking at the team lineup. Looking at the team lineup from 2018 versus where they're at now, when you consider that Rose, Dyer, Stones, Trippier, Jones, Delph all started their last game in 2018, most of those aren't going to be involved anymore. And you consider the level of player that's coming in on the back of those. Alexander-Arnold, Rice, potentially Kane, Winks, Sancho, Mount, Abraham, Henderson, Rashford. That's an upswing in quality no matter what way you look at it. I think that I'm taking a leave out of Ger's book here from Category 1. I think that... are you saying they're favourites?
They are favourites.
Right. I didn't actually fully appreciate that. I thought this was one of the categories where I was taking a bit of a ball from the blue, but...
Big niche.
They don't have a great coach. They don't have a midfield. Defensively, they're weak.
So Liverpool do have a great midfield, but what was your point earlier?
Well, Liverpool have an unbelievable manager who...
But
on the
midfield, forget about that.
England have a manager who isn't even sure if Trent Alexander-Arnold is his right back. So...
No, but on the midfield, you're saying that...
But Liverpool's midfield is set up not to have the ball. It's control, win the ball back, break quickly. That's the way they're coached. What's England's midfield? I have no idea what England's midfield is going to be. Is it going to be Eric Dyer, Harry Winks and Jordan Henderson?
Possibly.
It's going to be Jack Grealish, Declan Rice and somebody else.
Declan Rice? Come on.
Yeah, you need a list of players there who aren't very good.
Yeah, you said Rice, you said Tammy Abraham.
I'm saying I think that I think that's an upswing in quality when you consider some of those players.
Danny Rose was brilliant for a period. Here, speaking of highlights that I hadn't even thought of 2020, so obviously there's a very good chance England come to Dublin in the last 16. Imagine the reception Declan Rice is going to get when his name is announced. It'll be glorious.
Will a lot of Irish people get tickets for that game?
Yeah, I think
they're local tickets. Yeah. Okay, all right.
It'll be
Great.
half Irish people.
And imagine how the England fans are going to get on.
England, Germany, and Dublin. I don't see what could possibly go wrong.
France going to win Euro
Russia.
2020, and it's I said 2020 really weirdly there. They're going to win this tournament because, like, you list off a certain amount of players. Like, first of all, I disagree with the Dutch thing. Like, Ryan Babel got a cap recently for the Netherlands. Now,
Yeah.
like,
And it's playing bloody well.
he's playing grand, like, but he's like at a level.
Yeah, come on.
In comparison to
Take off those
some of
Liverpool
his own
glasses.
teammates, for example. Like, is there enough quality across the board with the Netherlands? I'm not quite
No,
sure.
but
There were a
it's
couple
not
of
necessarily.
individual
So France
world-class
obviously have the best squad.
Yes,
Clearly
that is why they're
have
winning.
the
Virgil van
best
Dijk
squad.
is like the most important player in world football. This is like
Nathan's going to go through
I
every
sometimes
category
see you
with some
when the
reference.
sweat is like just
When we get on to the Six Nations, he'll still be talking about Jordan Henderson in midfield.
Virgil van Dijk, Matthias de Ligt centre back, Frankie de Jong in midfield. Run the show.
So
They also have a very straightforward path.
are you saying Frankie de Jong is right up there in terms of quality midfielders?
Yeah, but I think
because
the
you
way-
slagged off Barcelona's midfield in my take earlier on. You're manoeuvring arguments around for your own take
Different
here.
managers, different systems, different styles. It suits the Dutch. I think this is a really good. Like, Ryan Babel's playing way above where he normally is. Quincy Promes, guys like this.
Don't get me wrong.
Donny
like,
van de Beek.
Yeah,
They've
you
got a
just naming
perfect
names
mix.
now.
That's what you do.
I think that's a strong argument, Nathan.
Won the Nations League, which I know you don't understand anything about it.
No, we don't. It's true.
yeah, but
You're the
France won the World Cup.
PhD, exactly.
For me, I'm putting a bit more stock in that. You know, they've got hosting duties. for
Pogba's
part
going to
of
be
it.
back.
Now, does the Wembley factor give Adrian's argument a bit of weight? Like,
Nah, the weight of expectation.
Yeah,
No, they'd be
think
beaten
about
in
it.
Dublin by.
Worse than-
England have an unbelievably tough group.
Are England and their fans and their players not all sort of, have they not moved past that level of expectation, that sort of...
No, it was easy over in Russia. I think the expectation would be huge at home. So, but also,
home.
they're looking at a
Football's coming
situation where, what is it, Germany, Portugal, potentially in a last 16 in Dublin?
yeah.
Did Holland win the Nations League?
Holland-Portugal final.
Yeah.
Wasn't it? Didn't they beat or did Portugal beat them in the
Portugal
final?
beat them. Was it on penalties? God damn it.
Oh, God, this would be immediate disqualification for like such a dick. I know you guys know nothing about the Nations League.
But Donny van de Beek.
Who are you going for?
I'm going for the French as well.
We actually forgot to ask the question, are Ireland going to be there? Let's just...
No.
No,
Wait,
I'm saying
what's
no.
the point? I mean, whatever.
No.
I'm saying no as well.
Probably not. Have you
close.
anything else to add, Ger, to your...
No, the French. Kylian Mbappe going to win the Euros.
You're just naming names.
He is the best and most important player in the world.
Yeah.
Not Virgil van Dijk.
And there isn't exactly a huge drop-off from Van Dijk to Varane if you want to put the armband on your centre-half. Granted, Van Dijk is better, but I think through the spine of that team, France are going to be just fine.
Six Nations 2020, I mean, do we give a shout about it?
Oh,
Sure
that
we
You rugby
no,
man.
No, this is not mine. Did I pick England?
We've gone England across the board
okay,
here,
I
but
did.
Jared now at the last
You went with the easy answer, did you?
I did.
Go on, you better kick us off then.
I wussied out
What were you flagging on? What was your immediate instinct there?
that I thought I'd gone for Wales.
It's Twickenham for Ireland and Wales this year, so case closed as far as I'm concerned.
That's your case, having been at the Rugby World Cup. That's your case for. I thought
Welsh-
we could have something a bit more informed now. Having
The Welsh don't give a shite about Twickenham.
dipped your crystal ball in
they-
Japan for.
Let me reach for the crystal
6
ball
weeks.
level of analysis here. Oh yeah, Maro Toje, Matthew Vunipola, Billy Vunipola, Henry Slade.
Eddie Jones.
Yeah.
Have you something else?
Haven't changed coach.
they're
Continuity.
the best team in Europe. They're the best team in the
everybody
Northern
know who the Welsh
Hemisphere.
coach is at
They
the
have
moment?
their two most important games at home.
Wayne Pivac.
Yeah.
Pivac,
What
yeah,
are you
yeah,
doing
yeah.
helping him out? He was on the
Former
he was
Scarlets. No,
spinning and
Scarlets.
wriggling.
Yeah,
Apologies.
former Scarlets coach. I would have got there.
So we're all. Does anybody have anything interesting to say about England, or is?
I mean, is it worth maybe just discussing what's coming after that? Like in terms of from an Irish point of view, what
How
sort of
many
Six
wins?
Nations is this going to be for us?
So we're going to beat Scotland. We're going to beat Italy.
And that's
Yeah.
it.
Beat Wales at home.
With Wales at home.
Sexton will be back.
I think we win either the France game or the Wales game, and then we lose one of them, and then
Bear
we
in
lose to
mind, we
England.
squeak out wins in France. Even like when,
The
Grand
drop
Slam.
goal.
but apart from the Grand Slam, the drop goal, the one previous to that, they had a try in the corner that the TMO called back for a forward pass, which we,
And also France are back.
a lot of times, and France are definitely much
I
better.
mean, in the way the France are back, and then the Six Nations kicks off and they're shite.
Yeah, I don't know. They look
Look
much
good.
better.
They look very good. But they do tend to do that at World Cups.
It's true. And look, there might be a hangover from that perspective, but like, I'm predicting 3 wins for us. I don't know where that third win's going to come from, but 3 wins and finish third.
And that might make it an amazing Six Nations for us because we might bring through a whole load of players.
Well,
you guys were
let's
talking on
talk
Wednesday
about
morning
that.
about.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, if you had a back row, we were talking about Jack O'Donoghue, Caelan Doris, and
Deegan.
or
Van der
Van der
Fleer.
Fleer.
Yeah.
This is never going to happen.
And why not?
Well, if it is ever going to happen, now is the time for it.
The back three
that's
and Andrew
Peter
Conway.
O'Mahony will be playing. CJ Stander will be playing.
But they shouldn't be.
But they will be.
But they shouldn't be. And here's the thing, I don't think they will be.
You think he's going to go with
I think
an
he's
all
gonna-
Leinster back row?
No, I said Jack O'Donoghue.
Oh, sorry, but you think he's going to go with these young players ahead of...
Well, if they're your best players playing in form at the moment, so put Stander on the bench, put O'Mahony on the bench, go with a 6-2 split, given that we've got no fit backs. Yeah.
And also, in terms of your Andy Farrell's dealings with those players, it's like, listen, this is the first tournament of my reign. I got to get in. I got to sample some players. In terms of explaining himself to the IRFU, it's the first year of a World Cup cycle. If I'm ever going to do it, now has got to be the time. The heat is off. In terms of explaining himself to the public, it's the same reason. Like we can all go on stomach and defeat to England, right?
Your backline after that though could be so whoever you pick at scrum half, it's probably going to be Cooney.
Has to be Cooney.
Well, so then it's Cooney and it's Ross Byrne, but after that, it's like Bundy and Gary Ringrose, Stockdale, Larmour and Conway. What a backline that is.
Will Addison is a shout surely there at full back.
Maybe, but I think Larmour's reached a stage where he is genuinely world class. We're not seeing enough games with him because they're managing his time, and when they stop doing that,
it does look like they're headed that way. He's obviously played a bit there for Leinster over the last few weeks, but what I'm saying is ultimately that I think that this could be a great Six Nations for Ireland, regardless of what happens.
So we can win 4 games.
Of course it is. If ever there was a line from a rugby
regardless
man,
of what happens,
even if we lose all the games, it's been a tremendously positive experience. Such bullshit.
Go on. Go on. Explain that.
No, it's just Nathan's negative outlook on life. It's
not.
like he's this is like
You're already teeing it up that if they lose 2 or 3 games, it's been tremendously positive. Like, he does have to go down your route for it to be anyways positive, which is you throw a load of them in there.
Well, say for example, you pick Stander and O'Mahony and, I don't know, it would have to be Josh Van der Fleer at this stage probably, and then you pick Murray at 9, and so Sexton's not fit for the first game, it's probably Ross Byrne, but maybe it has to be Ross Byrne really, doesn't it? There's nobody else you can pick at this stage.
Carty.
And then,
he's back, isn't he, Carty?
And then the team gets
He's
beaten.
on the squad even.
Right.
And then the team gets beaten. What happens then?
What are you actually suggesting?
No, I just think it's going to be an incredibly difficult Six Nations.
He's
for
suggesting
Ireland.
No, but like, that's just a nonsense throw. What are you actually...
He's suggesting that rugby people do not hold themselves to account.
What am I suggesting?
Yeah.
Well, clearly that.
Well, that's just a load of horseshit. Like,
Not really.
It's not where I'm coming from. I'm saying that this could be a very positive Six Nations for Ireland, regardless of results.
Or we look at it and go,
if you lose all 5 games, no good.
Or we look at it and go, poor old Jack O'Donoghue was thrown in at the deep end, got battered by England, got battered by Wales, and his career never recovered.
I'm not clearly. I mean, if you're suggesting that, I think that we get beaten by Italy and Scotland, and there's any way that it's a good World Six Nations for us after that, obviously that's ridiculous.
I just think it's so difficult for Farrell because there's so O'Mahony, Stander maybe don't deserve to be in the 15, but if you're putting them on the bench and you're putting Murray on the bench and you've Ross Byrne starting it out half, suddenly having that unbelievably exciting backline aren't getting any of the ball.
Well,
I think it can be a transformative
because of the 10.
I think it can be a transformative couple of months for Ireland.
And that's your front 5. So you're still picking. You're probably picking. Kilcoyne hasn't played enough games yet, so you're probably picking. Is Healy fit? He is. So it's Healy, and then they have a question mark at hooker, and maybe Tadhg Furlong is also on the bench, and you're starting with Andrew Porter, and then you've got James Ryan.
I don't think so.
And
but if you're going to make the argument that these guys are going to be the dependables who are going to give the ball and make sure that everybody's clean ball out the back.
And at that point,
I'm not saying Andrew Porter's far off him, but I don't think you'd be too experimental.
No, at that point you're moving into experimentation or trial as opposed to
Andrew Porter's
like
pushing
form.
him. Andrew Porter got picked for Leinster recently ahead of him.
For a Heineken Cup match.
It's a good question. I would have said it was one of the interpros, but Furlong was on the bench.
The gap isn't huge. You can get away with Porter 100%.
It's not getting away with it. Porter's reaching that level where he's starting to excel. Ronan Kelleher, I don't know if he's going to be fit in time. He's going to have enough game time to play hooker. But like, I would still expect that front 5 to go and dominate against
Who?
Scotland.
Scotland, okay.
The first game. That's what we're talking about.
I haven't heard enough from our resident rugby man in this
So
conversation.
how many games are Ireland going to win?
Things off.
3. Saying the same thing as me.
So England,
Scotland, Italy,
and
is that a disaster?
possibly Wales.
I'm probably thinking 3 as well, and actually, but being positive about it, whereas you're saying
I think
3.
anything less than 3 is a disaster.
Like, I started off by saying who gives a shite, which is what I mean about, like, who really cares about the Six Nations this year?
But who really cares about anything then?
Now, let's move on.
So if Ireland win the Six
Nathan.
Nations, will you go, well, you know what, the other teams didn't care. it's the year after
There
the
will
World
be an
Cup.
element of that, yeah. I mean, I'm sure I'd celebrate it, obviously, but.
Well,
So, and I
one of the
apologise
greatest
to you
performances.
in advance of that. We haven't heard it near enough, as I've said, from our resident rugby man in this conversation yet. So we're going to move on to the Champions Cup winners.
This is me he's on about.
Oh yeah.
I don't call
This is inevitable.
I don't call you a resident football man, do I?
I didn't. I wasn't talking about you. I wasn't. Hey. I wasn't talking about you.
Look at this.
Look at this. This was so inevitable that I flagged it up in the office before I came in here because I knew this was going to come up.
What is the subject we're talking about, Adrian?
The Champions Cup, Heineken Cup.
Champions Cup.
Winners for 2020. Here's where we're going. Leinster across the board. Now, resident rugby man.
Oh no.
What have you got?
Well, I've just been informed that Leinster are possibly the greatest team in any sport ever, possibly.
That would have been a great gag had
great.
Tommy not ruined it by putting up the graphic already.
Yeah, but people now actually get the joke because usually these
Great
things
idea,
are
can't
kind of.
Now let's get some. Let's name some names for us. Gary Ringrose, Ross Byrne.
But like, making a case against Leinster is what I'm trying to say. Like,
Yeah.
What's with your rugby snobbery towards
what is-
myself and Owen?
who is
No,
who is
I
rugby
would
on your
say
theory
it's
towards-
exactly the opposite. It's your rugby snobbery towards anybody who has any interest in rugby, which involves
I've no snobbery.
any opinion that you might have being founded in some sort of a classist
Oh,
basis.
is that true?
Well, that's what he ultimately said. Like, oh,
Nathan's a football man.
He literally said there a few minutes ago, "Where are you coming at this with your big positive attitude?"
Yeah, you did say
That's
that.
literally what he
God.
said.
Did just say that pretty much, like Ireland could lose every game, and like there could still be a lot of positives to take from it.
I do apologise for having a positive outlook on life, Nathan.
Well, maybe that's the reason that Ireland keep losing these World Cup.
But I mean,
quarterfinals.
you're mistaking me for being an elite athlete who has any say or influence on what happens with
It
the
all
Irish
feeds
rugby
in.
team. No.
So you want Owen to be able to name 15
Well, no, I
Leinster
want him to
players?
come back to sort of give us the reasons why Leinster are going to win the Heineken Cup,
they're
which
the
we're
best.
all in agreement with.
They're the best team in Europe. They are quite like, I mean, you look at what they've done over Christmas with flipping the squad. Leinster's second team. Where would they get in the Heineken Champions Cup? I think they would probably make it to the
Semis,
semi-finals, and beyond that, who knows? It all depends on how Saracens go for the remainder of the year. I think somebody in here has a bit of money on Saracens after they moved out to big odds. It could be me. I moved out to big odds after we thought that they were just completely tanking the Champions Cup. Perhaps they're a bit of a dark
I never
horse.
thought they were
But
gonna
I think
tank.
I think that's too much of.
Even after they put the team out the first week, I was like,
Yeah.
they're not going to. Like, it's a possibility of winning a trophy in a season where they have no other possibilities of winning a trophy, and they've got a good chance of doing that. So
They-
And
staying
as
up
long
is-
as they can get, well, if they can nail survival, which they're looks as if they're pretty much on course to do.
they will. Of course, they're going to. There will be refereeing decisions which go their direction as the season ends because they want Saracens to stay in the
Oof.
Premiership. There is no way that anybody's going to allow Saracens to drop down.
Giant bleep just went over there.
Like,
Tommy!
Tell you.
oh, he's left the office. I don't know. It's an opportune time where he's whether he's just quit his job.
This is basically going to be the most predictable 4 or 5 months of rugby then. That we know who's going to win the Champions
Lads,
Cup. We know
exclusive
who's going
off
to
the ball.
win the Six Nations, and
And
we
also
know
just
who's
to
going
add
to
that
win
we
the-
don't
the
expect them
Pro
to be
14.
any decisions that are. We expect the referees to be obviously
predictably
impeccable and
fair.
predictably impeccable.
Yes, exactly. So basically, you can just write off the start of the rugby year, and it's done. We've sorted it.
Yeah,
here.
nobody's mentioned Toulouse, who are actually the second favourites since our conversation. Saracens are third favourites,
I
despite
know
being
one thing
7
about
points.
rugby,
adrift
Adrian,
in
is that the
field.
French are flaky.
Toulouse are good.
Do you know which Toulouse side will show up?
Well,
Right.
The one in
like
red.
it does put a lot of pressure on Leinster, though, doesn't it?
Where did it all go wrong?
Like, if they don't win it, it's
And
going
where
to
do
be a
we
bit
go
of a
from
bottle
here
job. Unless they lose to a full
You're
strength
literally the
Saracens.
host.
It would be very
Like, they're a
disappointing.
mile
Yeah.
ahead of everyone else.
I mean, is it automatically a bottle job if Toulouse put in the greatest performance of all time against them? Like, is it? Is that not like, you know?
Our collective ball rolls on and moves into the sphere of Gaelic football. The All-Ireland football champions for 2020. It's an even
God's
split
sake.
here. Kerry and Kerry for myself and Ger. Dublin and Dublin. This is as predictable as this crystal ball thing. You two are going for Dublin because you don't actually, neither of you actually believe that. You somehow believe that. I'm sure that Mayo are going to win it, do you?
No, I 100% believe Dublin are, and both of you believe Dublin are going to win it as well. But obviously,
I don't-
you've
I
taken the
don't-
business point of view, which was you have taken the
that.
business point of view, which is we have a sports radio show that we have to talk about GAA week in, week out, and we have to pretend that there's some sort of a rival for Dublin where there's
That's
not.
not true.
There
There is no rival for
so
Dublin at all.
Stop throwing shade and actually
Were
explain.
you
why-
at the
why do
Ireland
you go-
final, the first game last year? The draw?
No,
Right.
I have seen it though.
Yeah. Oh,
Did you hear what happened?
Apparently it was a draw. I was wondering when I arrived at the replay what happened in the first game. Jeez, I thought Dublin had won that one, but here we
Right,
are.
you think this is all going to be seamless? Cluxon thing doesn't matter. Desi Farrell thing, he'll just pick up where he left off.
Cluxon got a broken arm.
Is that
It was
what
arm in a
he's...
sling, anyway.
Arm in a sling, yeah.
Beep. Go on. What's the
I don't think that's libelous, is it?
No.
No, but
what's
you're-
your
Sling.
your rationale ultimately is more the same.
Exact. Yeah, I don't think it's only them or Kerry.
You're not even entertaining a conversation about this lad.
Or about Mayo.
About Mayo, I just think the Super 8s actually go against Mayo. I think Mayo are a one performance, big day.
Have they fallen back
having to
now
go
in a way
through.
that the expectation isn't there anymore?
I think the expectation, unfortunately, it may not be there right now, but, beat Donegal in that first league game and...
They're
Back
the
right back
England
up
of
there.
Gaelic football, really, I suppose, when you think about it.
Well, no, England have only got like 50 years of pain.
Like that constant expectation and public demand.
Obviously, James Carr turned into Diego Maradona for a period last summer. So if that happens
And you did
again-
extraordinarily well out of that.
Well, I didn't get anything out of it in the end, it turns out. There's
Few
no money in
followers-
social media.
Few followers, I'm sure.
Yeah, from parts of the world I had never expected.
The gap is still big, guys. I don't see how you can... Like, I know you're trying to be cool and hip and edgy
I'm
and all
really
that sort of
not.
stuff.
I think
I don't think you actually even deserve to speak in this conversation
Grand.
because it's just Yerism, isn't it? Like, are we?
Fine.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
guess
I
I
can't
am
trust
the
anything
expert.
on this topic that comes out of your mouth.
But, like, did you watch the replay last year? Did you see that Dublin are still probably 5 or 6 points better than
Yeah.
Kerry?
Badly in the replay.
I'd be a bit like Jaron.
They kicked the goal.
I tend to say that with the drawn game that Kerry were within a fingernail of getting it done. Like
They were.
Kerry blew chances last year that I don't think they're going to blow again. And also, the young players will be a year older and a year better. I also think that you can't quantify the difficulty in winning 5 in a row, right? So you can't just blah, blah, blah away, they're going to be the same team again. Automatically, the number of people going training is different. The group is a different group with no Bernard Brogan, who apparently was sensational in training, like absolutely helping to drive standards and rampant in various training matches. Like, does it mean the same to them to win 6 in a row as it did to win 5 in a row?
No.
I actually don't think it does.
No.
Like, I know a lot of them are going to be like, oh, well, it's not Conor Callaghan's 5th in a row. He didn't do 5 in a row.
That's
But,
nonsense, though. It's a team. Like,
Exactly.
of course, it doesn't mean as much, but I do think that there is an incentive there to do it without Jim Gavin. And
There is an incentive.
And
but
also,
how
have they not
powerful,
take-
how powerful an incentive is it?
Here's the question, though: Have they? Do we actually believe this idea that Dublin have taken away the incentive out of their game? That they are such a machine, that they are so cold as an operation, that actually the 5 in a row
I never
wasn't
bought
part
that.
of their
I
process.
never bought that. I
Because they
actually-
focused on the process that they can control within every training session and with every game.
Frequently, in the All-Ireland final, it would be their worst performance of the year, which suggested that the occasion actually did end up getting to them. Certainly, in the early part of a lot of those matches, they did not perform to the level we know they're capable of. I don't think they choked, but I think certainly in one of the Mayo games they choked, and Mayo should have won. I suspect that there's 2 ways this can go. It can free them, and they can play the greatest football we've ever seen. There's that possibility, right? There's absolutely a possibility. Desi comes in and says, right, you're going to go out and have fun. You're going to be the best, most creative football team we've ever seen, and they obliterate teams, start to finish, and they can do their defensive stuff if they need to for certain periods of the game. That's one possibility. The other is that they're all like, I put my life on hold. I put my career on hold. Actually, I'm going to have a good time this year. I'll still show up. I'll still do what I'm supposed to do. But, like, Kerry win All-Ireland, that's grand. We just won 5.
The only way we ever tend to talk about the recently about the eventual winners of the All-Ireland Football Championship is in the context of how far back Dublin will fall. But I think your point about the All-Ireland final belies that argument entirely, that the Kerry can actually have proven now that Dublin don't necessarily need... It's not about how far Dublin can fall back. It's about Kerry being within a fingernail of getting it done and another 12 months behind them. A lot of young players who have taken an unbelievable amount of experience and know-how from last year. And I don't think that... I think we're framing the conversation incorrectly to say how far back can Dublin fall so everybody else can meet them, because Kerry are right there.
The problem is, though, the issue that I would have is just the performance from Stephen Cluxton in the All-Ireland finals last year. And it just kind of crystallises this whole idea that you do get wound up about, when will he retire? Now, if
But does that not almost prove that, because a couple of exceptional saves, like absolute, like some saves of the decade in there, like unbelievable saves, in a way that, like, you can't always be relying on that. Does that not prove that actually
it's the way he
teams are right
the way he
there?
controlled the game, the way he pinged the ball perfectly, and Kerry got rattled despite having what I would argue to be a top 3 goalkeeper between their own posts last year as well. I make the point, Kerry will make a step up this year. They'll have Peter Crowley back from injury. But then on that very topic of injuries, I think if Kerry sustain any sort of injuries in the forward line from their starting 6 forwards, they're in big trouble. Like, I mean, hopefully, like you can't ever read into who's going to be fit, who's not.
No.
But I think Dublin are better placed to perhaps maintain.
No, I'm not sure. I don't think Dublin's strength and depth is as strong as everybody assumed it had been.
It's not just about strength and depth, it's about the system, though. It's about the fact that anybody can slot in and perform to a level that 5 in a row champions already have.
Got to move on. I will note that you said that Kerry are going to step up, and obviously they drew with Dublin last year. I don't know
who's footballer of the year.
What stepping up is going to look like. We're not doing footballer of the year. It's not a category. Moving on. All Ireland hurling champions for 2020. We've a couple of Limericks and a couple of Corks.
Lads.
No shouts for Tipperary.
We need to compare answers
No shouts
here.
for Kilkenny.
At least make it somewhat interesting.
Jerry, do you want to kick us off with Cork?
Yeah, I think they've got a manager back who really believes in the group and who understands exactly what had been holding them back. I just think that they have been chronic underachievers. There's been a ghost somewhere in the dressing room in every game, pre-match and on the pitch, and I think it's time for them to step out of that, and Cork GAA really needs a lift, and the hurlers are the ones who traditionally have been able to do it. A whole decade without an All-Ireland for Cork is absolutely shocking, and I think they're going to right that at the start of 2020.
I'd agree with that. I think Kingston being back is huge for them. Like, then again, you look at the Kilkenny performance, but their performance against Kilkenny last year and the subsequent performance by Kilkenny in the All-Ireland final, and you wonder if Cork can actually jump that gap, because they were nowhere near Kilkenny that day. They were clearly second best, but on his day, perhaps they have the best hurling in the country.
Should have beaten Tip last year, though.
Like, I mean, I hate getting into the shoulda, coulda, woulda, especially when you're comparing 2 separate results, but I just think that there was a lot of money on Cork, I'd imagine, last year, and then going all the way, and something just wasn't right. But a change of manager can change quite a bit, and they clearly have the players, and I think they will win it.
I can't believe there's no Tipperary shout, by the way, but my Limerick rationale is partly based on I have an inkling of I can't believe we're not discussing Tipperary, by the way, but I have an inkling that it may well be Tipperary, but they learned so much from the regulation game against Tip last year to blitz them.
2 answers there.
To blitz them in the
I'm 2 answers.
Looking at leaf out of your book here, to blitz them in the Munster final. They ran like the real Kilkenny in the semi-finals last year to within a point. Like, that in itself, it doesn't look great in the context of the final, obviously, but that in itself, I do think it was the real Kilkenny, albeit briefly enough that we saw them. So I think that, and I do think the hunger thing, I think is a factor. Like, they're obviously a young group, they know how to do it. They've had a few little off-field issues that they can actually make work in their favour. Like, everyone hates us and we don't care. Like, they can definitely start to twist some of that stuff in there.
Indicative of something deeper and wider in the squad that we're not aware of either. Like, you can flip that both ways.
Well, you can, but they're not going to. They're going to, obviously. Of course they can. But they're going to
properly in context.
Mm-hmm.
Did you use the word mithering in context in a
congratulations
in a GA debate? You did.
To me? No.
I did not say the word mithering.
No.
Oh, sorry.
So yeah, I mean that could be a possibility, but from within.
I didn't use that word.
What is happening?
Within the squad, they're obviously going to try and turn it as a positive, and that's
right. You agree with that?
Well, I've also heard the rumours that maybe Limerick enjoyed their off-season. Just putting it out there.
I mean, I don't know what rumours.
Maybe they let off some steam, and that will be to their benefit. They're the best hurling team in the country. They're the most talented players. Like, some of the performances during the league last season were Kilkenny-esque, and despite never really hitting the heights during the championship, still weren't far away. Yeah, I think Limerick, I don't see them going the way of that Clare team.
They hit too many heights in the championship. They were up and down.
Like, to be by this all, they're like unquestionably the most talented team in hurling. Like, I'm not sure they're any more talented than Tipperary or than Cork. Or, like, because I think we threw that around about Galway a couple of years ago.
Cork will always let you down, though.
But we're talking about talent here. Like, I think a lot of what Limerick has done is based on physicality. Like, you looked at them in the league last year and they were huge. You're like, Jesus, this team is coming off celebrating an All-Ireland win. They look in incredible shape. And the power that they have in their game, granted they have amazingly skillful hurlers in parts of their team as well. They looked sensational beating Tip, hammering Tip in their Munster final last year. I think they're brilliant, but I give you 2 examples. I give you Clare and I give you Galway. I think they'll be struck by the same malaise. Not as long-lasting as Clare's, for example, and Galway have yet to prove that they're not another version of Clare. They both feel that they should have had more All-Irelands, and I've got a feeling Limerick will feel the same way. That is not a criticism of Limerick, though. It's because we're living in a golden age. It's because we're living in a golden age of hurling where you have seven, 8 counties who can legitimately win.
Wexford. I find it hard to make a case for Kilkenny at this stage. You can definitely make the case for Tip. It's going to be a good year hurling championship. Can't make a case for Waterford at the moment either.
Masters 2020. Here's where we're going. Brooksy.
For God's sake.
Brooksy across the board. And Patrick Reed.
Come on, let's have it.
Yeah.
Back 2 and 3 years.
They get
Dun, 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 dun. Here comes the villain.
Cheat.
Here comes the villain. It's the perfect. He's already won it. You know, we like horses that have good form around the track.
With his
This
family
guy-
booing him on from outside the ropes.
This guy, well, no, silence. The Ma still likes him. Ma gets on with him. She's trying to make peace. He doesn't give a shit.
I don't think the man gets on with him. I think the man would like to tap back into
trying to
that
make peace,
revenue
I said.
stream, but he ain't making peace with nobody.
Well, nothing that I said was incorrect. The Ma is trying to make peace with him.
That's Golf Weekly snobbery for you right there.
It is. It's like, anyway.
Did I spell Kepka right?
Brooksy, can we just start calling him Brooksy, a la Tiger?
I was in the minority on when we were talking about Patrick Reed that maybe he is just that bit different. That all of this actually comes together inside him, and he's like, "Screw you all.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go." And rather than
His
eventually,
form is good at the end of the year. He's
beaten
getting
down.
in more trouble. The more trouble he's getting in, the better his form.
Well, last week, when he's called a cheater, he's in a playoff in a really good quality field up against Justin Thomas. So, despite everything that's gone on over the last couple of months, he's still playing really good golf.
Yeah.
And Augusta, more than any other course, is a horses for courses type play. So, it wouldn't be a surprise at all if Reed went close.
And by the way, just on that, I think that the idea of it being one person obviously in the crowd, I think is going to be amplified after this. Like you were talking about the rugby audience earlier on. There'll be a whole lot of golf knobheads having looked at this guy shouting about the cheater, and they're going to take their lead from that. So that is going to be amplified.
There'll also be a crowd who rally behind him.
That hasn't happened. That's the weird thing.
But it's Augusta. You're not allowed to bring your phone in, never mind boo somebody.
Well, do you not remember, but when he won the Masters,
Silence.
the silence of sort of...
Yeah, nobody likes him.
applause.
Look, golf needs a villain as much as it needs heroes at the moment. And he is
Koepka a semi-villain?
Yeah, a little bit.
Why?
Look, I think picking Brooks Koepka, whenever he won the 2 in a row, we made the point at that stage he will literally be the favourite for every major that happens. Now, I think Rory might have been touched favouritism in the Open last year ahead of him because of where it was, but it's a very boring choice you've all made. I don't know if you go look at yourselves
The
in the
thing
mirror.
is, he's getting better at Augusta over the years. His results have improved over the years. He's getting more used to the tournament.
He's going to win one at some point.
He's
going to win everything at some point. He's
not
a
much
machine.
in terms of the betting. Reed is, I think, maybe 4th or 5th favourite, and then it's Rory, Tiger, and
He's
Koepka.
much back now, is he not? Much further back, Patrick Reed?
I think I can.
No, I'd say for the Masters, he'd be among the top 7 or 8 because
It's Rory,
you get 25 to 1 on him,
Rory,
yeah.
Tiger, and I'm going away from my mate Tiger.
Brooks
this year.
Koepka.
Yeah, look, Koepka finished second last year, so he obviously now fully knows how to play the course. Probably should have done a bit more in the back nine. And
Well, if 70 last year didn't extend himself in the final round, and one shot better would have had him in a tie with.
No, and his whole year was it could have been slightly better. He came away from the US Open, having won the PGA, thinking, "Oh, if I just put it a little bit better," and turns out went on the Monday. Oh yeah, I just practiced my putting today and I fixed everything. It's like, oh, you wouldn't have done that?
Yeah.
You wouldn't have just done a little bit more practice? So that is one of the little criticisms of Koepka is there's not caring that much, but also there's, well, if you'd spent a bit of time on the range fixing this earlier, he could have had a ridiculous season. I think he's so calm in the majors. It's a big difference between him and Rory for the Masters because, again, Rory's going to have 3-4 months of talking about it. You'd love to see him do it, but I just think the pressure is going to be way too much. The one I was split on was Tiger, because Tiger has shown consistently in the last 18 months, when he's fit, he's probably the best player in the world still. He was the best player at the President's Cup by a country mile.
President's Cup is weird, though, right?
It is, but
He's not up against the field as individuals who they're not keeping score. They're giving shots. It's not fair to judge form in that competition. Like Ian Poulter would have been the greatest golfer of all time.
no, but also he won, what was it, the Zozo Championship at the end of the year, where the first tournament back where he says, oh, listen, I had some knee problems, got that fixed.
Was that when?
This was, what, October?
Right.
So, after Masters, some sort of an injury, huge dip, but you're putting your stake on him somehow getting to Augusta being perfectly fine. If he gets there and he's in the shape last year, it's hard to see past him.
Reed is 40 to 1.
There you go.
His family are all over it.
That's a very good price.
His family have the. They have the.
They're laying
That's
Patrick
worth an
Reed.
each way. It's worth an each way. And what's Rory? What's Rory's story?
Rory is.
8-1 favourite.
Yeah, they're himself and it's himself.
Rory's been the
Brooks and
best
Tiger.
player in the world for the last
Decade.
4 months.
You just said Tiger was, but go on.
No, but Rory's played a lot more. Tiger hasn't played much golf. But I just think, the golf schedule now is so condensed that it all feels a little bit irrelevant.
Would you be
if he
surprised to
doesn't
see
turn up and
Rory
play
go
well.
through the rest of his career and not win a major?
I would at this stage. I actually think there's going to be a year where he blitzes the field in 3 out of the 4.
No, I don't think so. I think that time has passed. Like, the game has moved so quickly. Every year there's 2 or 3 guys who play the exact same game as McIlroy, maybe not quite as well, but I wonder how much this run into the Masters. It's the worst one to be needing to win to complete a career Grand Slam because it's all anyone talks about it for 9 months.
Well, why don't you just play more tournaments and
Well, he will, but he's tried everything. He changes it every year and feels he's learned a little bit, but still he finds himself coming to Augusta. Like last year, it felt as though that was it. Like this was his. He played brilliant golf again for the previous few months. He'd taken time off. He'd had this sort of reset on his life, and then it comes to Augusta, and it was just a bit flat.
Right, let's. This is the one where we're going to have to stare deepest into our collective ball because it's the toughest one to answer. But it is: how many gold? Are we going to win a gold medal at the Olympics?
No, everywhere except for me.
Owen, explain yourself.
Well, look at the intervening period between Rio and now, and all the success in clearly the minority sports that you guys just have no interest in whatsoever. Have you watched any rowing since then? Have you watched any boxing since then?
Have you?
Yeah. I sure as hell saw an Irish woman win a gold medal in the World Championships.
Yeah, I know all this, but I still think the Olympics is something different. I think we'll win a lot of medals. I'm just not convinced we'll win a gold medal.
I give you the fact that we've won 6/3, whatever way you want to look at it, gold medals at the Olympics in the modern era since the 50s.
Come on, we've won 3. There's no slash.
/6, whatever way you want to look at it.
We've won 3.
Have a whiskey jar and have a think about it.
Not only am I saying yes, I think we're going to win multiple gold medals.
Yes.
Multiple gold
Name
medals.
names.
Kelly Harrington is going to win gold. Granted, she's had her injury troubles, but we'll see how things go. There's one. Well, what I'm thinking.
What about dominant Paspor?
I was going to get to Sneeda Paspor in a moment, but what I'm thinking is how many you could almost crystallise my argument into rowing alone. So if Sneeda Paspor does the business, I'm not entirely convinced she will because she's quite old at this point. Let's face it. We can't just judge it.
Getting better.
She has to be getting better. It's true. But Paul O'Donovan is clearly our best world-class athlete that will be competing.
Paul O'Donovan and whoever he's in a boat with.
And whoever he's in a boat with, exactly. And that is a decision, as far as I'm aware, that is still yet to be made. But we have one of the best rowers in the world in a scull, and I would give us every chance of winning that. Then you've got a couple of other wildcards in there. Equestrian. Who knows how that's going to go? Reece McClenaghan is a...
You're literally like, a question. Literally.
Archery.
Who knows how that is going to go?
Pentathlon. These are other sports.
Gymnastics?
We haven't done a dressage team before and we're entering it this year. That's what I'm saying. Gymnastics, I know it was bronze in the World Championships and it could be a slip down to 10th or it could be an ascension to first. And you'd always be more likely, especially given our inferiority complex in this country, to say the slip outside the medals is going to happen.
Well,
but I say no.
Who knows these things, who I can't remember, was assuring me a couple of weeks ago that Reece McClenaghan was going to win a medal.
That was me.
I said somebody who knows these
he'll win a
things.
medal, and I would honestly go in with the hopes of a couple of gold medals. I think the good times are here.
I think the one thing that will be in your favour there, in terms of the rowing specifically, will be that you do tend to get more man strength the older you get. There is actually a thing to it. You know what I mean? Particularly in terms of the O'Donovans.
What?
For rowers, rowers' trajectory can be better the older they get.
And what about all the other rowers that have got man strength?
Well, I don't know the age profile of the crews that they were beaten by, for example, in 2016. So I'd have
They're
to
probably 4 years older, I'd say.
Researching, but they might be 4 years older. But they might be 36 or they might be 40. I don't know.
Maybe their man strength is.
Obviously.
When does man strength go off a cliff?
You still have your man strength.
There's absolutely point. No, my man
they're on
strength
the Tom Brady
is long gone.
I think I've gone off the cliff, unfortunately.
Speaking of man strength and staring at the balls, it's time for us to wrap this up. We've gone way over time as usual. I'd like to say it's been a pleasure to have you in, lads, but it's just been a thing that we did over the last supposedly 30 minutes, actually 40 minutes. We will reflect on it again in 12 months' time. And Gerald will be back in the winner's enclosure, no doubt. Thanks a million, lads. Owen, what's the plans for the weekend?
Plans for the weekend? What are the plans for the weekend?
It's Friday morning.
It is Friday morning. I should have thought about this sooner. I've got no plans for the weekend, actually, Adrian. Okay. Any ideas?
See how it goes.
Anything happening, lads?
What hip?
I'm going to go to the soccer writers' dinner tonight.
Oh, yeah?
I have, in previous years, gone, it's January, dry January, but then you realise it's 11 o'clock, you've been at dinner, everyone else is drinking, and they're all insufferable. Yeah. So you as well have a few drinks.
And also you don't work any Saturdays anymore. So
that's true, actually, yeah. You generally I have to, yeah.
Is there not, what's the McGrath Cup, or is there not something to be going to?
No, they play 2 games.
What are you doing, Adrian? You going to the rugby? You get a few provinces in over the Champions Cup
box
weekend?
tickets for the rugby. Probably is.
I'm open to open invites though.
You probably did some corporates. some
Nothing to do
prawn
with it. If I'm
sandwiches.
there, I promise you one thing.
You'll
I'll
tweet.
send a tweet to say how excellent Leinster are. That's me.
Please do.
Right, that's it from us on this Friday morning's OTB AM. We'll see you again on Monday morning from 7:30. Good morning.